Hi. We're gonna get plugged in. I've been in advertising too long. I need a PowerPoint presentation to talk. Oh, lights. Are we on the internet? Yeah. I'm way less nervous if we're not on the internet. All right. No, I'm good. I'm always game. Yeah. I know. No. Okay, I'm gonna censor a little bit. All right, does everybody have pizza? Should we do this? Let's do it. This is me and my two dads, Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings. You guys know who they are, or am I too old? Yeah. I also recently stopped getting a haircut because I quit my job in the fall and started a company. So I'm gonna do this a lot and it's super awkward, but I'm gonna battle through it. So here's the deal. Let's just talk about me and how I'm here and all these things. I am 40. In fact, I did the math today. I'm 40 years old, 5 months and 12 days old. My knees hurt a little bit. This life thing is real. I sent a resignation in letter. I sent a resignation letter in. I was going to buy a 1978 Pontiac Trans Am on my 40th birthday. And I decided instead to take my savings and start a company with some friends. So 40 has meant a lot. I stopped getting haircuts, like I said. I didn't get my car. I'm working out of a shipping container, flying around on a budget. And it's been nuts, but it's good to be here today because I wouldn't be here without having gone to ad school like many years ago, many years ago. So I'm gonna give you some tips on what to take with you. Here's my life so far. Thank God I went to ad school. This pie chart would be a lot worse. Let me just show this to you a little bit. I did some of the math. I mean, this is not statistically accurate, right? But what is awkward is that having sex does not even show up on the pie chart. At all. I have made a lot of advertising. It has been awesome. And I look at that as less about the work I've been a part of and more about the people I've had a chance to become friends with and make and be inspired by. And it really did all start here. I still hang out with a core group of people I met here. Like, they're some of my best friends. And we collaborate together a lot. We've worked together. We've been to each other's weddings. It's been amazing. And so when I talk about advertising, I don't really talk about the work. I talk about my life, because it's an amazing privilege to be in this business, to make money, to do something that's actually interesting and cool. Because prior to this, I think I was 27 when I came here. I didn't know if I was gonna fucking make it. I had the most boring job. I had a journalism degree. I had a father-in-law who just wanted to know that I was gonna be able to do something and make money someday and maybe buy a house for his daughter and the kids we would have. I mean, I was super stressed out by that whole life thing. And literally coming here and then going right into the industry and meeting all these cool people, it literally changed my life. And so let's get out of the pie chart. We'll talk about that a little bit. Here's how advertising has made my life full. Okay, I've gotten to be a part of campaigns. When I was at Wieden, I had the good fortune of working on the P&G team for Thank You Mom. So travel around the world, work with an amazing client, work with an amazing team, and actually do something that makes deserving people feel great. Moms. I mean, I really couldn't ask for a better thing to dedicate my time to. This was super meaningful. I had a chance to not only make Super Bowl ads, which I guess are the last TV ads people watch, but literally, like, my creative director called me one day. He's like, "You're from Green Bay. Come on up here." And we wrote a spot that we shot in Green Bay for the Super Bowl for Coca-Cola. And that is a kid wearing an Ashwaubenon High jersey, the high school next to Lambeau Field in Green Bay. So, I mean, it's just little meaningful things like that that make my life full. It felt great. Working on tourism for Oregon, amazing. I love that state. I don't live there right now. I have part of my business there. We have a great friend and partner who lives in Portland right now. But I do plan to die there. This will get dark a little bit. I love it there, and it was just an honor to work on, bringing more cool people to a cool state. Okay, so had a chance to do a lot of stuff, a lot of big stuff, but I actually think I found the most joy, if I get honest with it, in the smaller stuff. Really hard clients. By that I mean like clients that might not be ready to do cool stuff right away. The clients you hear a lot of people piss and moan about. Don't let the pissing and moaning get to you. Just fucking work harder and tell a better story and win their trust. And I think Fruit of the Loom is one of them. I'm gonna have another case study later on in this deck. But I mean, these are super sweet people in Kentucky, Bowling Green, Kentucky, which is fantastic because you get to stay in Nashville when you visit them. And when you get the account, you're like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? Well, of course, we'll bring the fruit guys back. Client, no, please don't. Oh shit, what can we do for this client? And it just was a really amazing turning point in my career to actually not piss and moan about that and work harder and figure out how to game this and make work I was proud of. And that starts by sort of, working on the brand, finding a voice for it that's credible, and then, hello, feel free to sit down. and then you gotta get like one okay ad out to still like keep defining that voice. And this is that one okay ad that really started to like steam, get the wheels moving on this baby. I hope it plays. Oh, sound. What am I doing wrong? No diggity. Oh! Bag it up, girl. I like the way you work it.
Music.
Oh, sorry.
No write-up boxer briefs. We tested them, so you know they work.
So, when I talk about like a hard client and like trying to understand their brand voice, like, I'll go to a blank page. I think if I click this again, it'll play. Like we had, like that's an okay ad. It's okay. Everybody who worked on it will say the same thing. But it was like the beginning of understanding their voice and like as a team and learning to sort of be a leader, like how do we continue to make this brand cool? And like one of the things I was amazed by when we went to their factory in Kentucky was that like literally we were in a room that's like this big full of bras, like every, for lack of a better word, boob shape around me full of bras. And like the dude who was showing us how they like make bras, like on this like boob punching machine, like molding machine, like didn't even crack like an icebreaker joke about like, hey, lots of boob. Like no ice-breaking joke at all. Literally, he was like so into his bra making, and that's when I was kind of like, oh my God, they are so serious about making stuff. Like they don't even know they're that serious, and that's how that ad came out. Because even when it comes to like no write-up boxer briefs, okay, we can do this without the fruit guys. They're actually so obsessed about making undergarments that make you feel good, they don't know it. So that's why like the plastic pants are there and you know, they're measuring them. So anyway, I get it, like, okay ad, but what, you know, the joy in this was like being like, but we can do better. We can do better. Why don't we make fun of that ad that run in March Madness all month and actually bring people online and have fun with them? So this is how we made fun of our own ad and in return actually like made the brand cooler again.
Textured plastics.
Maybe. I like this one. Is this the organic one?
I think so, yeah. Let me see.
Is it?
Yeah, that's the organic.
Yes. The humanely raised one?
Right.
The
That's
9 millimeter?
The 9mm organic.
Oh, I like it. Yes, my name is Frank Laurent, and the clear plastic pants, she is my muse. Fruited the Loom has made these test pants. This was the moment, right here. The inspiration came from right this moment. It's perfect. You're 7 years old and you're skipping. Yes, yes, I like it. No, I don't like it. Make believe you are an astronaut. Can you cry? Can you cry a little bit? There we are.
Call me number one, that's what I say. In this plastic, CC23.
All right, yeah, all the PR crap. Okay. You'll get used to writing these case study videos where you have to like, oh, we were in so much PR. Okay, but you get it. Like that is super just joyful, and like when you can start cracking that, you're like, man, advertising is actually super great for your life. And then we're still in the part about how advertising is good for my life, right? So like also, you know, getting to work with your heroes, Dan Wieden and David Kennedy, like seriously, I can't, I actually get teary just even saying how great of people they are, and you know, he's cool with me wearing jorts next to him. So, and then, you know, being able to make close enough friends and connections to start your own company and bet the farm, your houses, your mortgage, all that stuff. That's my partner, Dean. We met at Wieden, and that's my partner, Dan. We met in Portland. And we just started our own thing. I am the dorkiest one in the group. And now we're starting to work on some marijuana projects, which also, I fucking love advertising. It's been great. Now, whew, it's also made my life hurt, which is why I need to keep getting weed clients. Cannabis clients, let's get professional. Okay, so I was going through, I keep a stash of, because I'm a planner, but I also like pretend to be a creative. So I'm really bad at Photoshop. I think I sent this all agency at Crispin once, and it was indicative of my mood, of basically like feeling like I was dying that day, as a joke. And I've often, you know, found myself posting things that are like oddly reflective and like, I don't know why anyone else would self-internalize what I was trying to self-internalize, but we're always, I mean, that's the thing you got to remember. You are always working in this business. It never shuts off. It never shuts off. In fact, I should have put that pie chart. I should have put an overlap of how much you're thinking about advertising, because it happens, if it's happening during sex, there's a problem, but it could occasionally happen. Anyway, like, even like sending my kids to the first day of school, I've had like thoughts of like just having a really bad hour. I've never had a bad day in advertising, but I've had a bad hour. Like this one morning, we had just moved, we're in corporate housing, and I should have been joyful, like full of joy. My kids were going to school. They look like a Wes Anderson movie here. And I was thinking about like, man, should I just like run off the balcony and jump? And that sounds so horrible, but I was having like a bad hour, a really bad hour. And like, and I think like my point here is like you can counterbalance this because it gets better. Here I am in a lady's shirt with my wife. partying in a basement. This was a few months ago. It gets better. You're gonna go through the bumps, just like everything. But the business is worth it. It's worth it. It's gonna be an awesome ride. And so, point here is, you never stop changing, I never stop changing, but advertising does. And what I wanna help you out with is how to have way more highs than lows. And I think I got two things that help me that might help you, okay? So, I already said that. Okay. Part of this is for work, part of this is for your soul. They should coexist. Were we just talking about yoga before? Think yoga. Okay. So, for your work part, look at my awesome fucking keynote design. God, that's embarrassing. Okay. Okay, here's the thing. I cannot help you make anything prettier when it comes to work. This is an email I sent for a Bloody Mary buffet that ended in my Wisconsin Bloody Mary roots with a condo. I don't know what. Anyway, horrible. But here's another one. Here's another one I made for something I talked about with like how no one trusts advertising people. They don't trust you. They trust you less than used car salesmen and politicians. I can't make things pretty. This is a party invite I sent for a really awesome lady who worked with me who was going away. And I don't know if you could still do this even like 2 years later, but I thought it was fun. They thought it was fun. This is my Christmas card. Again, I can't make things pretty, but it's so great to have creatives who help you. At best, I can be a part of things that are pretty. This is my buddy Angelo, who's a writer at Wieden, and we shot this film together.
Hey kids, it's time to... Available at your local internet.
I'm way better at voiceover than Photoshop. Okay, yeah, so I can't make things pretty. I can tell you how to make things meaningful. And I think the biggest one, as you get out of here and get jobs and make money and do things, is this. Seek motivations, not descriptions. And we have a big issue with this in the industry. There's a lot of bullshit. And it doesn't make sense today because we know everything about everyone. The internet tracks us. It's listening to us at home if we have an Alexa. It's terrifying, but we can use it for good. And let me show you a little bit about what I mean about this. So like when I had the opportunity to work with the awesome team that is Domino's and running Domino's and all the success behind Domino's Pizza, one thing we really started to hone in on was the audience isn't everyone with a mouth who can order pizza and eat it. Really what we have to look at is how the internet divides people and creates tribes of people with interests, because we now live in a media world where you can't just push ads at people unless it's the Super Bowl. We live in a media world where we follow our interests and passions and we come together. So brands have to understand that. They have to understand what people actually fucking care about. And they have to figure out a credible way to care about those things too. So this is just one example of how I've started to morph the way I think and help teams make great work. And so like with Domino's, like what we started to understand was that there are, there's about 15 to 20 different tribes of people who order pizza a lot. It's like 40% of their business. Within those groups, what we saw was the biggest group, pizza fanatics, at weddings. there were people actually putting orders in so that they could go to the wedding and party, and the pizza would end up at the hotel late at night so they could party longer. And so those super core fans, we were like, we need to make them something. We know there's a whole world around weddings. Like, people have a wedding, let's rock. And what was really cool when we started to hone in on that tribe was that the media is like, there's so much media around weddings that actually isn't used in innovative ways. So I'll show you a little case study.
Dearly beloved, we're gathered here to witness a beautiful case study video. Let it remind us that love is patient, love is kind, and, as it turns out, love is hungry.
Domino's announcing an official wedding registry.
Wedding registry.
Wedding registry. So friends and family can treat the happy couple to everything from food for a bachelorette party to a post-wedding date night.
I am so on board with this, you can't believe it. Half the stuff you put on your registry you never use or see.
It's totally different what the norm is for a registry. I'd rather get pizza than fine china.
I register for everything, I think.
You may now take a bite.
Yeah, so that was fun, you know, but that's where advertising is going, I think. That's just me. So, you know, the way I talk about that is like, stop looking at, update your briefs, update the way you talk about projects. If you hear the word personas, throw it out, it's useless. And start talking about people's passions and interests. And poke around at that, understand what people really care about. And as creatives, understand what your brand really cares about. So it kind of looks like this, what I call the modern advertising brain is like, you know, as a team, are you doing your best to understand what a brand really likes doing beyond making money? Like, what really motivates a brand? And are you doing whatever you can to understand what people like doing? And when you do that, I promise you magic happens over and over again, because I've been lucky enough to figure out this formula on multiple different teams, and it doesn't change. It's hard to do. It's easy to make a chart. It's hard to do. So, you know, if a planner like me can't tell you what motivates people, push them. Do it nice, but push them. If you're a planner and you're not getting pushed, find a new job. You need to get pushed. You want to take a picture of that? There you go. Whoop. Oh. Whoop. Oh. That phone case is amazing. Okay. Yeah, because if you're not growing, you're dying. Remember that. Get out of here. Grow all the time. Be growing. You want to take a picture of that? Whoop, whoop. Okay. If you're not growing, you're dying, folks. Here's the thing, old advertising methods are dead. Don't die with them. I think that's great about the school here. They're, you know, bringing in all the folks they can to kind of keep you up to date on how things are changing and how you can keep the best of old practices like this. Where did I see that screen print? God damn, keep doing this. Learn how to make things by hand. This is the good stuff. I just want to touch it. But understand, you know, use technology and data in the right ways to understand people better, not to trick them. So here's the part about your soul. This is the most important part. Try to do work like this all the time. A lot of people like to only show work they were a part of. I like to show work that I am so fucking jealous I wish I would have made, and I love this work. I don't know if you guys have seen it before. It's kind of pixelated. This came out of Fallon, Minneapolis, and I just, these are just great people, and this is just an example of like finding a client, understanding what they love beyond making money, and figuring out a way to make the biggest impact possible. This is the brief a lot of people would flinch at. Loctite glue. What are we doing with super glue? These guys bucked up and made radness. They convinced a client to take their entire marketing budget and make a Super Bowl spot. Not so the agency could do a Super Bowl spot, but because their problem warranted it. People just needed to start talking about Loctite glue again. So this was a couple years ago. I'll show you the spot, but like this blew the doors off everything. It's, anyway. Bam.
Loctite. Boy, it's me. Cause if you make a thing or break a thing, it's no problem. Loctite will fix it up and put it back together again. Cause if it's broken, it's unspoken what you need to get you through. Glue! Step 1 and step 2. Loctite.
Loctite glue saved our marriage.
Oh my God. So stop talking about budgets and start talking about what you need to do to solve a problem. All right, so we hear this a lot. Big executives come up. At our agency, there will be no egos and no assholes. Now, where's my limo? Fuck. I like this. I recently watched this movie. I can't stop watching it. Have you seen The Greasy Strangler? Guys, it's important. Important. Anyway, they say bullshit artist a lot. I think that's just a better way of saying no egos. But here's my point. Like, this is a big issue in the industry when it comes to your soul. Caring, because it is a passionate industry. So you're gonna hear the no egos, the no asshole stuff, because people care a lot. And I wish I would have heard this when I first started, and that's why I wanted to share this with you. Because it's easy to you look at the people who are running the agency, and by far most are very good people. But it's easy to start calling people dicks. And it's easy to feel like people are dismissive of you or hurting you. And really what your job is not to listen to every single person and have super long meetings that are not productive. That's not the deal. The deal is to be compassionate enough to bring people on board. We actually have 2 jobs: to make great stuff, and then the second job is to bring people on board with that really unfamiliar, weird, great stuff. And this part of making great stuff is hard enough, and you all will get there, but this other part of bringing people on board is equally hard, really fucking hard, and trying. And the faster you can get there, the better for your career. And that's why I have this other slide. You're a dick when you run people over. And you will see people get run over at different agencies and start to learn how to identify that, because that's not who you want to be. You want to be the person who brings people on board. And I already talked about this. My deck is kind of messed up. Yeah, your job is to come up with surprising stuff, but it's also about surprising yourself. So I want to talk about one example of that, and I'm going back to Fruit of the Loom just because I think it's a great account, because you might encounter that type of account when you first come out of school, right? It's kind of I don't know why I'm on this slide right now. You'll get kicked briefs that people think, oh, it's only 100,000 or 200,000. We can't do much. That's what this brief was, okay? And it's for sweatpants. Fruit of the Loom sweatpants. And when I think sweatpants, I kind of think people of Walmart and this poop stain. There it is, Fruit of the Loom sweatpants. That's what you think initially. How am I going to bring people on board to do something cool? How are we going to do that? Well, I want to show that to you. So we turned sweatsuits into something actually kind of cool because we started to think about, all right, forget the budget. It's just really cool to think about like that you guys have sweatsuits. They're in every Walmart. They're on Amazon. They're actually like one of your top selling products. And actually, like when you think about wearing a sweatsuit, it's when you're truly living. You're not at work. You're probably like snuggling with someone. You're Netflix and chilling. You're doing the stuff you actually want to do. So why the fuck wouldn't the work be good? You know? So what we realized is we kind of wrote a brief around wearing sweats doesn't mean you're not living. It actually means that you're alive, that you are living. I'm not saying it right. I should have put the brief up here, but I wanted to show you the case study from it because this was an example of like really bringing people on board because it was way over budget. It was ridiculous. The client was expecting like banner ads, and we had a push. We had to spend a ton of agency time writing decks, concepting, blah, 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 but we knew we had to do this, and we were right. So I'm going to show you this case study.
Everyone laughs when they see it, but sometimes that becomes fashion.
You don't get to the top without a little sweat. Introducing the Professionals Collection. Limited edition sweatsuits that reek of respect. The Business Type. The Country Clubber. The Trailblazer. All made of fleece. All made for men who are comfortable with success.
Yeah, that was going to be banner ads. Close one, right? Woo! So bring people on board, because when you do, you can do some pretty cool stuff. And I kind of like ask myself this question whenever I'm like feeling good about work, because that's the first part. Are you feeling? Yeah, you want to ask questions now? I'm almost done. Here, see? Look at that. Look at it. Here. Yeah, but bring people on board. Let's talk about questions and answers. Yeah.
So bringing people on board, ultimately like enrolling them with the vision you have of what the idea is, that's going to be most beneficial for their campaign, for their project.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like you're already spending a lot of time getting a lot of shit ideas out first, right? Like you guys are concepting now, right? You know that like it takes a round of shit to get to the good stuff. like our bodies shit bad ideas first, and then good stuff comes, right? And then when you start to feel that it's right because it's building a brand voice and it's solving the right problem, that's when you're doing it really well. It's super surprising. It's because our craft done well is something no one's ever seen before, right? So it's kind of the issue with the industry. There's agency cultures that thrive on that. How do we make stuff no one's seen before? That is our job. And then there's agency cultures that are, how do we keep this client and kind of try to do decent production? Very different cultures. I'm sure you all want to be a part of cultures that are like, let's do crazy, interesting things. So there's two ways to go about that. To roll people over and just say, we're doing this at the leadership level, or there, and then have it drop with the client, right? The client will just say no. Or you can go a kind of a bit more like tenuous route, which is bring people on board, which is like, no, like, I know we only had 150,000, it's probably just banners and some other stuff, but we really gotta try this. We gotta try this. This core team believes in it. Let's keep building it out. Get with the client. Guys, we know this is what you asked for, but we see this big opportunity, here's why. And that whole thing is an entirely different process than what did you ask for, you know? And I think I wanted to share that because it's really easy as you grow in the industry to just knock people over and do what you think needs to get done versus listen to the group, look for the most interesting thing, and grow it. Does that make sense? Yeah.
The client had a budget for banners. How do you convince them to not only go with a whole entire campaign, but to kind of release this new product line?
Make great work. Great work sells. I mean, I'll tell you what the root of that is, and I see this. I have a big sort of beef with like tactics for tactics' sake. Tactics for tactics' sake, like let's make a chatbot. AI is a big deal now, and then you just do these tactics. If you help a client understand what their brand likes beyond making money, if you know their brand voice, you can sell them anything if they agree to it. And in fact, selling is a really shitty, bad word. Like, it's kind of a problem with like the way we approach clients. They don't want to be sold to. They want to see possibility. So if you really understand what their brand's motivated by and you share a vision with their brand, you can continue to bring them work they never asked for, but they see the value in it. And it's really a big part of like relationships. I mean, like great account people help build those relationships and make those meetings happen. Great creatives make the work that grows the brand voice. Make sense? There's no trick. It's just a lot of hard work. Anybody else? Yeah.
When you say, and of course, it's important to keep the work meaningful, what's your first approach to make sure you're making an impact with the work you're creating?
Like literally, right? When
yeah, anything crazy, like even if it's like jumping or going out for a jog or I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny because as you get into this, there's like two scenarios, right? There's like you're joining an account where the train has left the station and it's rolling, or you're on a pitch and you're starting a new relationship and that's a brand new journey, right? So you're always kind of like, and I think you'll see this as you get in, those two situations are different because like when you join an existing account where the train's left the station, especially as you get more experienced, you know what needs to change. And that's where bringing people on board really matters. And so you're thinking a lot about what do I need to repair today so that tomorrow I'm making work I'm proud of. Better work, right? So that's a different thing. So you're thinking about the relationship there and what you need to prove. When it's a pitch, you are all in on the idea all the time. You're thinking about like, how am I gonna mold this thing so that it is big, surprising, and just like ridiculous out of the gate. And you're crafting that argument in your head all the time. And I don't know the best way to like answer your question head on, but those two situations, you know, no matter what, I'm thinking about both in the shower. Let's put it that way, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, when I'm in a pitch, I really don't think about anything else. I like just exist and do the pitch. You know, I'm thinking about the pitch.
Awesome.
How did you know that you were ready for starting this business, and like when was that gut check telling you it's time?
I don't know. You know, I got senior enough, and I'm just not like a pretty person, showpiece executive person, so I had to start my own thing. And I really am super passionate, and that's a double-edged sword. Like, I love what I do. And I mean, again, like, most people at most agencies are super good-hearted and want to do great things, but as you go up, you realize it is a business, and if you don't see into the business, if you don't control it, you don't have control of where all your passion is going. And I just wanted to take a chance while I was young enough to correct it. You know, if I know things are going to work out, but if they didn't, okay, so a couple of years later, I'm working again in an agency. But I just wanted to control that for myself, you know, and that was, and that it was the right time, because I had gotten enough experience over the last 14 years where, you know, it never gets old, but you start to read the tea leaves pretty quickly, and you're not growing. So, you know, it's the point I made on the board earlier, like, if you're not growing, you're dying, and I wanted to start my own business and grow, so that was it.
When you say that you have to find out what the brand loves more than money or other than money, like what are you paying attention to?
Oh yeah. Okay, well, I mean, it is amazing to me, like, how often you'll see campaign work. Like, you guys are all starting to like look at campaign work and then decode it, like pick it apart and see where they were coming from, where it looks like no one even investigated the history of the brand. It's like, literally, there's somebody who's like, oh, it's really cool to like shoot on white like Apple does, so let's just do that for whatever soap. You're like, what the fuck were you doing? You have a production budget. You have the ability to make cool stuff. You just phoned it in. It's amazing, and that's actually a gift to all of you, because you're going to school here to learn excellence. Like, where you should always start is like, what is the voice of this brand? And that doesn't mean, oh, it's a humorous brand. It means like, why was this thing created in the first place? So, you know, I always start at like what the history of the brand was. Like, what were the founders? Like with Domino's Pizza, the founder of that company invented delivery and met his wife delivering pizza. Like, they believe pizza really is magic. Like, pizza makes good stuff happen. And therefore, when you understand that, like what drives that, that's how you can start to like build up and inspire the client to realize like, yes, we should build a car that has a pizza oven because we believe this magic needs to be everywhere. And like, that doesn't feel weird anymore. That's like, yes, we have reharnessed what this company was all about when it was only 5 people. Yes, today we are thousands, but we're back. And that's like, it's a big part of our job, which I think some people call invertising, at least at Crispin we did, which is like, very first step is like to get that company remembering and believing what they were about, and then bring the ads out into the world, you know? So I would say like a ton of my work is like historical digging. It's crazy how much is, so, yeah.
Hey, Dave.
You're back.
Yes, I'm
So.
back. Hi. You talked about the formula. I want to learn more about your journey in figuring out the formula, and was it inspired by something in your childhood? Like, what experience in your life made you figure out the formula?
The formula for my journey? The journey formula?
No, the little Venn diagram that you had on the screen.
Oh, that formula?
Yeah.
The Venn diagram? Oh. You mean brands liking something more than money and then knowing what people like? Right. That formula, that's a good question. I think, You know, like if you start exploring like great advertising, right? Like we can be nerdy about advertising here, right? We're at ad school. So you look at like Got Milk, right? Like that is like strategy and creative excellence, right? Like the prior campaign, at least I'm 40, so in the 80s there were all these ads, milk does a body good, and it was, I mean, they're actually like iconic, but they didn't do anything for that brand. I mean, they were useless because they were basically trying to tell lazy punks that aren't gonna drink milk to be healthy. So it was like completely against the grain, right? And so Goodby comes in and like, you know, godfathers of account planning, like, and just Jeff Goodby and Rich Silverstein, like amazing creatives, like they completely questioned it. And what they realized through great research was like, actually, we need to just have people who already drink milk more times, right? And so Got Milk was really about like prompting impulse. They didn't have an awareness issue, and none of the like traditional issues you have with advertising. It was an impulse issue. And people just needed to be reminded like, damn, it would be good to have milk with those ho-hos or those Twinkies or whatever. And that's what triggered that, that's what made Got Milk so great, right? And so like, pre-social media, that magic worked. To have a great insight and then build a brand off it, right? Because you controlled media. Like, for Got Milk, you could buy Saturday morning cartoons and WWF wrestling. I saw it, and all of a sudden I thought drinking milk was cool. That worked. What I've learned through time, particularly because I was lucky enough to be at Wieden in 2009 when that agency decided to get hyper social and digital because they saw it, is like, that's not enough. It's not enough to have a great insight meshed with just creative excellence. You need to understand what people care about too. And so if you're not looking for ways to get people participating, you don't have an idea. So, you know, it's why, and I don't even know the company that made it. That's not a rip on the campaign. What's the Fearless Girl, the McCann thing? I mean, that's why that's like such a successful piece at the award shows, because it's an idea that you would post about. And that's kind of the ideas you need today, which is like, you want to get away from shit that's like a calendar, best practice shit, where it's like you're filling out a social media calendar, and now we're gonna go make these 30 social media posts for the month. That is already way outdated and useless. What we need to be focusing on is what our brand cares about, and then what our best customers could care about, and then crafting ideas they would post about, not just ideas they would find in their feed. And it's really interesting to me because it's a symptom of like old school advertising thinking just morphing into modern social. Oh, we'll just sponsor posts and play shit like normal TV ads, like Got Milk in the 1990s. It does not work. You need ideas that people are gonna care about. And like a good example of that is like, I mean, Netflix does an amazing job at that. You know, like look at everything Netflix is making, from like a pillow that like when you fall asleep, it like shuts your Netflix off, or like the socks. We had a great run with that on Domino's. I mean, I think like best in class right now, and it's probably cliche by now, but like the group running KFC at Wieden, like it doesn't matter the platform, it doesn't matter, what might be the social media trend of the week. They know what their closest customers are into, and they're crafting ideas that surprise. And the strategy is surprise. I mean, that's why the kernel's changing all the time. So it's like, those are the kinds of pieces of work I would be looking at and decoding so that you can continue to kind of push the envelope when it comes to like modern advertising. You know what I'm saying? So, because it really isn't enough just to have a great insight anymore for advertising. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope that answered the question.
It did.
I wanted to know, what is your favorite part of the whole process? I don't know, maybe studying the brand or having a brainstorm with the creatives. or it's seeing the results like coming to life? And what do you think is the most important part of the process?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good question. I got to tell you, and I'm grateful for my experience at a handful of agencies. I think the most important part of what we do is the culture it comes from. Agency culture really is everything. It defines the work. No one person defines the work, the agency culture does, and you will see that. Weak cultures produce weak work. Strong cultures where, you know, people are bringing people along for the ride and not pushing people over, where people are open to new ideas, where people will, you know, fight for work they believe in and build expectations with the client to actually have those discussions. Those are the cultures that win. And so all that stuff you asked about, like the beginning, middle, and end, they're all exciting in those cultures. Get outside that culture, none of it is exciting. They're all horrible. So I would say, like, let's just say we're in a great culture, right? I gotta tell you, each part, the beginning of like getting smart on a brand, of getting smart on an assignment, the crafting and like the seeing treatments from directors, the being choiceful about creative, explaining why you're making creative choices, also very exciting. I mean, it's thrilling to work with amazing, you know, makers, directors, artists. And the results piece is also equally thrilling because the campaigns are no longer over because, like I showed you with that For the Loom piece, like you can always respond to them. And the better you do in the first wave, whether that's a TV spot or some out-of-home thing or just even like a light digital campaign, if it's great, you can respond to it with other, you know, social ideas and stuff. And so it really never ends, you know? But again, that's the joy of a great culture. And that's what you're working toward. You know, we might not all start in like the most epic like agency cultures, but God knows, like if you're passionate enough, you will be in one, and you will know what that feels like. You will feel it, and it is absolutely thrilling. And I think as we build out Shepherd, like I mean, that is like my main focus is like not just to take on work, but to make sure people feel like they're in a great environment to take risks. Yeah, so that's the best I can answer that. But culture is everything. Yeah. Anybody else? I'm talking a lot.
Dave, thank you
This was
so
great.
much.
You want a hug?
Of course.